Hello and welcome to yet another video where I continue to share with you the amazing things that you can do with Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Word, such as the animation of the motion of a bicycle as seen over here. As usual, the aim of doing this is to attract students to your lessons by making your lessons come alive. Believe it or not, I've made this animation using Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint. This animation involves two steps. Step number one is to draw using Microsoft Word. And of course, step number two is to animate the drawing using Microsoft PowerPoint. So let's go to Microsoft Word where I'll show you how to draw the bicycle wheel and its frame. And then after that, we will go to PowerPoint where we are going to animate that drawing. So here we are in Microsoft Word. I have the canvas. I've already drawn this wheel that I used in the previous animation. So we are going to move it aside so that I can show you how to draw that exact wheel. So let me move it to that corner so that you can see how I draw the various features. The first thing that we do is to look for shapes which resemble what we have here. So we'll go to Insert, Shapes, and one of the shapes that I used here is this one here, the donut. So let's see how I can use the donut to draw these shapes. But first of all, let me go to the grid because I want my diagram to be very proportional. By now you understand the use of the grid. It gives us diagrams which are very, very proportional. That is, I can get a perfect circle. Now, how do I ensure that this one is a perfect circle? I need to check several things. The number of squares I have here should be equal to this number of squares. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see whether these ones are 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this one is a perfect circle. Then I need to get this point here. I squeeze it out like that. And you can see if I release, the shape of the tire is now appearing. Can go to Format. I can fill it with any color that I desire. You can see that the color that I have here is this gray there. And the tire does not have an outline. So I remove the outline. Then because I need to see through this gray color so as to see those squares there, I can go to Fill, Texture, and then More Texture so that I can access transparency. Using transparency, I can just slide this on to the right or to the left, and you can see. You can set that transparency to your desired position. Let's leave it at that point. The next thing is to draw this rim, which is inside. To draw the rim, I use the same donut, so I can get the one that I already have here, and I need to make sure that these corners, they are exactly along the grid. This one is very important for any proportionality, for your diagrams to be very symmetrical. Remember when you are using PowerPoint to animate, sometimes if you animate a diagram which is not symmetrical, it will just wobble instead of spinning beautifully. So it is important that these lines are exactly along the grid. Sometimes you can do that by just using the arrow keys. And you can see now it has gone to exact positions. That one is good. So I can get this donut, copy, paste it, and then reduce its size. First of all, let me superimpose it on this one. And then I'm going to reduce its size just a bit. Let me change its color to, let's say, blue color, something like that. At this point, I can see that I need to bring it up to that point. Everything looks okay. Let me remove the outline. But I can see this dark color here. This dark color appears where, let me just move it slightly like that. It appears where the two boundaries meet and overlap. When they meet and overlap, when you combine this color and this color, it gives a different color which is nowhere near these two. That is why it appears as if there is a boundary, as if there is a line. So far, so good, but I need the rim to be a little bit thin. So I'll reduce it to that size. But these are changes which you can fine-tune later on. And I know, now you know that for me to get this part here of the wheel on the inside, I'm going to use the same technique of using the donut. So you can see how choosing a specific shape which looks like what you want to draw can be of help. You always don't need to draw shapes from scratch. You can always use the shapes which are provided here to choose, to try and imagine how your shape looks like. So let's continue. And you can see that part is drawn just that easily. The next part is to draw these wires around. And that is how we draw our first wire. So we are going to copy and paste this wire. Now you can see that I'm using the grid to make my diagram to be as symmetrical as possible. At this point, I need to insert wires here in these particular positions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy all these wires here, and then once I've pasted them in the right positions, I'm going to adjust their positions like this. You can see what I did. I copied the wires, then grouped them, and then that allowed me to rotate that figure while checking over here so that they enter exactly into these positions. Then the next step is to make adjacent wires to cross over. This one will come here, while this one, the one will go there. But first of all, I need to ungroup these wires. And you can now see that the shape of our tire is looking exactly like this one. When you look at this, I used these rings in order to check for symmetry. I can do the same with this one, but I think that one is optional. What you want to know is how exactly do I draw this tire. You can add a lot of formatting to this tire now to add colors of your own choice. But at this point, I think this tire is good enough to animate. So if I need another tire like this, all I need to do is just copy and paste. And you can see now I have 2 of them. But I think the best way to do this is to first of all add animation to the first one, and then do everything that I really want done to the first one, and then after that copy and paste. So we don't need that one right now. Now I want to put these wires so that they are behind the rim. And as soon as I reduce the transparency of the color, the wires go right behind. The tire also, I can reduce the transparency because I no longer need that transparency. And again, I can either bring it in front or make it to be at the back. In order to avoid any air gap here or some kind of boundary, let me increase the size of the hole in the donut. Like that. And because the tire is behind the rim, then it of course can't be seen. But there's a bit of a problem here because you can see this wire can be seen. I don't want it to be seen. Why don't I bring the tire in front first? I bring it in front in order for it to cover the wires. And then I bring the rim to be the one which is on top of everything else. And there you have a nice tire. Let me reduce the size of the rim because it appears to be little bit too big. Although it really depends on you. You might want to have large rims or small rims. For me, I want just that kind of size. And you can see now we've got a nice rim. The next point is to draw the bicycle frame. And the bicycle frame is not so difficult to draw, even in PowerPoint. So let's head over to PowerPoint where we are going to draw the bicycle frame at that particular point and duplicate this tire. So I'm going to select everything. At this point, I can be able to group all these shapes so that it just acts like one shape. And let's do exactly that by selecting all the shapes, going to format, and I group. So it acts just like one shape. So let me copy this one shape. We go to a blank slide and paste it there. There we have our tire. So now I can animate this tire. I want it to spin. If it is spinning too fast, you come and make this time to be a little bit longer. I think 5 seconds will do. I want you to repeat this motion until the end, until the next click. Let me check how it starts. Starts fine. Rotates in the clockwise direction. If I want to change the direction, I just need to change this counterclockwise and everything will be fine. And when it rotates like that, that one is okay. Now we need a road surface here. And there you have the road surface. I will animate this road in such a way that it moves to the left as the tire rotates clockwise, giving the impression that the bicycle is moving along the road. So I have already animated the tire. I can have a situation whereby this animated tire also slides along the road. For example, in this particular animation, if I can go to slideshow, and you can see the bicycle actually appears to move along the road. But in the previous animation, it's actually the road which is sliding. I can also put some objects in the background so that when they slide together with the road, it gives the impression that the bicycle is moving along the road. Either way, it gives the effect of the bicycle moving along the road. Each one of these has got an advantage. in the sense that when it is rotating like this, I can be able to show other features without having the bicycle move. I can have the road and the background to move so that I can show forces which are acting here. For example, the frictional force which is acting on this tire will point to the right. And that is why that force is the one which pushes the bicycle to move. The bicycle pushes the road surface backwards. The forces on the tires, on the pedals here, they are such that the cyclist is trying to push the pedals forward. And of course, the weight of the bicycle, which is the other type of force exerted on the road by the bicycle, will point vertically downwards. So when the bicycle is stationary, I'm able to show all those forces comfortably. And even when it is moving, I can do the same, but it means that I will have to animate the arrows which shows these forces. So you can experiment on these situations in your simulation. So let's continue and draw this bicycle frame. So now that we have our road, I want it to move to the left. Change the timing to make it a little bit longer. Make it 7 seconds, for instance. I'm going to remove these effects. I want it to repeat until the next click. Let's play and see, but I need this to play to start with the previous so that both of them play together. There. So it gives me that kind of effect. But you can see over here that repeat motion, this road keeps on jumping, going up to a certain point through this distance here and then jumps back. I want to hide that effect. How do I do that? I select the shape, copy, paste. So I have another shape with the exact animation, and then I'll move it to the right. So that for that one, it will just move all the way up to this point, while the first one moves there. So the gap that is created here will be hidden. Let's see whether it has achieved that. And you can see it has achieved that. The only problem is that if you look at it closely, you'll be able to see that point where the road jumps back. So again, play around with the animation and see how you can be able to remove that. So let's draw the frame. So in order to draw the frame, I need lines. For example, I need a line that will start from here, come all the way up to this particular point here, horizontal one, but I'll need it to be a little bit slant. I think it always comes back to some point here. I just need to format one of them and then copy and paste. I can change the color of this wire if I want, but what I need to have is to copy and paste it there so that at this point, I need to copy and paste this tire together with its animation. So I just need to select the shape. This one doesn't look so good, so let me draw one. So I can use this freeform tool. Start from there, go to some point here, change the direction, maybe up to some point there. So you can see that the shape of our frame is looking like the actual bicycle. So you can do all the adjustments that you want. The next thing is to do the chain. And for me to have that chain, I'm going to look for this shape here. I'll choose a star with very many number of, spikes. Change the spikes the way they look like so that it gives me that effect. Can also change its size on something that is very proportional. At the same time over here, remember to use the grid. You need to use the grid all the time. In fact, for this shape, it's better to draw it in Microsoft Word. So let me copy this shape and go and finish on it using Microsoft Word. The reason why I want to do this is because I want to make sure that it is very symmetrical. There's 1, 2, 3.5, 1, 2, 3.5. Over here, 1, 2, 3.5. So it is a perfect circle. Just get a line, but that line has to be at the center. That line has got to be symmetrical about this shape. So I'm going to shift it all the way until it comes to the center. For me to do that, I can't do that when the grid is there, because when I use the arrow keys, you can see the way it is jumping from one point to the next. But I know the center is supposed to be somewhere around here. So at this point, you remove the grid, then use the arrow keys, and it's almost at the center. Keep on checking with that one there. Until this square here comes to the middle of this line. And it is almost at the center there. Let me round off the edges of this line. So these are the pedals, this one and this one. And this is of course the center. So I want to put this one to be in front. And I want it to be one shape. So at this point, I can copy that. So now I don't need this. And it is in the right position. Maybe perhaps I have exaggerated the pedals. They're just too big. So, you can resize those. One thing that you can do is to ungroup and just deal with this line here. Now that you've got the concept, let's draw the chain. The chain will start from some point over here, come all the way to some point here. So far so good, you're getting the idea. Now is to make this to turn to the right. And I just need to select and add the animation, which is spin. Spinning too fast. Change the timing to 5 seconds. And there you have your animation. Now you realize that sometimes when you draw in Microsoft PowerPoint, it's not possible to get some of these very fine points. So I'm going to adjust the chain while I'm in this position and then copy that all the way to PowerPoint together with the tire. And I think that solves the problem. Now the next part is to animate this part. I don't know whether I had this was its animation. Let me just start with the previous and test. Now I've not animated this part, so I need to make this part to rotate. So first of all, I've got to group this line and this circle and this star here. I need it to spin a little bit slower than the tires. So I'm going to make this time to be a little bit longer, maybe to be double the one for the tires. Let's check 10 seconds. Next click. Everything looks fine. Yes, that's it. That looks good enough. Of course, start with the previous. Let's check. And let's do the slideshow. And there you have your animated bicycle using Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Word.